Hello and welcome to another College Basketball Weekly here, LT in the saddle with my guy Sammy D. Another great week of basketball. We got lots to talk about. I would like to say we're the fastest growing and hottest college basketball hoop show, but that's like saying I'm the number one podcast host in Akron, Ohio. So for college basketball, because I'm probably the only one. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out. We got another 5-star review on College Basketball Weekly, my weekly dose. This show gives me everything I need on a weekly basis for college basketball, quick and to the point without all the useless hot takes. If you want to give us another one, love it. College Basketball Weekly brought to you by the Full Court Network. Also check out Full Court Press, College Basketball Coach Show. We got a really good show with Coach Rick Pitino this week, New Mexico Lobos. And I'm sure someone said, is he coming back next year? We'll
top the Mountain West, baby.
Yeah, we'll see. But don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. If you're watching us on YouTube, smash the subscribe button. If you like or you're following us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, remember to subscribe. Give us a 5-star review and rating. And then also check out our Instagram and Twitter pages, and also Substack. We also have articles every week, and it's fun. We're gonna get you. You're the better journalist than me. We're gonna get you writing. But kind of the hot topic last week, Sammy D, was Indiana Hoosiers current head coach Mike Woodson will not come back next year. We are not surprised. We've talked about this for weeks, even months. And it's pretty crazy because in his 4 seasons, he's been 21-14, 23-12, 19-14. He's 14-9 right now. But as you know, Indiana is a top job. It's life and blood and life in Indiana. What do you think about that?
Expectations were high. You know, I think that they. I want to give him a pass for his first couple years, but I think that the donors and alumni stepped up in the offseason. They gave him a lot of money to work with, and he had one of the, I'd call it a top 3 transfer portal classes. You know, yep. I mean, he dominated the transfer portal with the NIL money that he had as a resource, and so I think with that, the expectations got ridiculously high this year. I think that everyone in Bloomington expected him to be a top 10 team, and they're just not there. You know, they're pretty far from it in my mind. And so I think that was kind of the last straw. Was just, I mean, I'm sure they've had conversations the past several weeks that says, hey, if you can't get a couple of these next wins, then you know, we're gonna ask you to step down. And that's I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And it's, you know, now they can get started on a to fill that vacancy, which, you know, I mean, I think what's going to be interesting, and I know you have some inside takes with some people you've spoken to in the past week. I don't think it's a top job anymore.
That's funny because I talked to a current head coach, Mid Major head coach, who's very successful. Said it's a top 5 job. You can win national championships.
I'm aware of who you talked to and what they said, and I'm allowed to disagree, aren't I? I just don't think it's a top job anymore. Just like, I mean, I think that we're in a era of college basketball where top jobs are changing right now. You know, the blue bloods aren't necessarily the top jobs anymore. And Indiana's, I don't think that, you know, even though they had a really good history for a couple decades, I wouldn't call it a blue blood. They're very passionate about their basketball. They have good resources.
They don't like LT.
They don't like you. I take that personal.
Yes,
but
I do too.
because I've got a lot of love for ELT.
Yes.
But yeah, I just think if it's a top 5 coaching job, we wouldn't be sitting here saying like, okay, who's going to take the job, right? Like there'd be 3 names on the list, and one of the top 3 are going to take it. But I'm scared that it's going to get down to their 5th or 6th or potentially 7th pick.
Yeah, but it worked out.
When that happens, that's not a top 5 job anymore. I'm sorry.
Right. Well, it's interesting to see what people are saying, and it's kind of head scratching to me why someone would leave the SEC, meaning Bruce Pearl, Nate Oates, or Chris Beard. You know, first of all, their buyouts. I think Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates' buyouts are like $10-15 million a year, as is some of these other guys like TJ Oslenberger. I couldn't even find what his buyout is. but some coach said, "Do you think TJ would take the job at Indiana?" And I go back to Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell at Iowa State is always up for jobs, it seems like. Where is he? He's still at Iowa State. And the Big 12 is almost as good as the SEC. I mean, they're doing really well at Iowa State, and I think they extended him because of, Fred Hoiberg left. They brought in Steve Prohm. Steve Prohm wasn't successful, unfortunately. Had a couple good years, just couldn't get it done. So I wonder if they're protecting themselves a little bit more by having higher buyout.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of coaches have success early in the year, like Coach Otzelberger has at Iowa State, and they're giving them contract extensions mid-year, right? We've seen it at a couple different places, and I think they're for sure protecting him because they knew he was going to be a hot name when positions like this would pop up. I agree with you. I don't see Bruce Pearl leaving. His buyout's ridiculous, and plus he's the king of the SEC.
They have Moe's. Have you been to Moe's Barbecue in Auburn?
I've been to Moe's. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, he's the king of the SEC basketball right now. He's not leaving there. I don't see Chris. I think Chris Beard's ridiculously happy at Ole Miss.
I think his connection is because he coached with Bobby Knight for a couple years at Texas Tech. He didn't coach at Indiana.
Yeah, he's a Knight disciple. And he's going to be a hot name after this year for what he already has a great coaching career, no matter what happens in the future. I mean, a
lot of it's been in the South,
one of the top coaches
Southwest
in the country.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just don't see him leaving there. I mean, it's, one name that could be interesting is Buzz Williams in the SEC, just because he's
from Texas.
I know he's just tasted a little bit of it in the SEC. The one name I can see leaving the SEC is Mark Byington, because he's only been in there 1 year, and what he's done at Vandy's been really impressive. But I don't think he can win the SEC at Vandy, and I think you have to have some kind of honesty of assessment right there. And I think he wants to win conference championships like he did at James Madison, and get back to the dance. I mean, what he could do at Vanderbilt this year, I mean, he's already got him back on the map for a potential tournament bid, which would be the first time in 8 years. He's got wins over Tennessee and Kentucky. He's proving he's one of the best coaches in the country, even in the power conference now. I think if Indiana targeted him, he'd be I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think it's going to be one of the easier choices from a power conference like the SEC to get him to go to Indiana, where he could go win Big Ten championships pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I think Buzz Williams, his buyout's pretty high too. I think it's over $15 million, and I think that's going to be a key problem. I don't see Brad Stevens coming back to college basketball. I think he's got it really good at the Celtics. Scott Drew's not coming. I mean, he's been a Baylor for 21 years. He's not going.
People throw out Dusty May.
Well, Dusty May's buyout $6 million, and here's the thing: what people need to realize: where did Bobby Knight coach at? Indiana, right? Where did Bobby Knight play and graduate from? Ohio State. So doesn't mean that Dusty May, because he graduated from Indiana, is going to coach at Indiana. I think he's happy at Michigan. I mean, how can't you? I mean, they're a Jumpman school. They're doing well. I mean, I just don't see him going back. Now, the three names I do see who they could look at is the first one's Brad Burnell. What he's done at Clemson. Saturday, he just beat Duke at home. He just pounded UNC tonight. This is going out Wednesday. So he pounded UNC on Monday. He's been there. Now, here's the kicker. He's been at Clemson for 15 years. Last 3 years, he's been 23-11, 24-12, and I believe he's 20-5 now. He just got an extension just recently, 2024 through 28-29. I don't know how big his buyout is. The kicker is he went to the same high school and played high school ball with Calvert Chaney. He's from Evansville, Indiana. He went to DePaul. He understands what Hoosier basketball is, and the guy just wins. So he's one. The interesting one, and we've talked about this, is Mick Cronin. Now, his buyout is big. $20 million before March 31st, $16 million after March 31st of this year. 2 Final Fours or 2 Sweet 16s a couple years ago. I mean, Final Four. He's a great coach. He's from Cincinnati. I see him coming back to the Midwest. I just do. I think UCLA, and he's complained about having to travel, seeing the Statue of Liberty 3-4 times. If you're in Indiana, you have to go out west, and he said you don't even have to leave a hotel. So, I mean, that could be a kicker. Will UCLA kind of get a buyout? I don't know. We'll play with the buyout. I don't know. And the last one, Steve Alford. I got yelled at on a Twitter space for this one. 60 years old, 691 and 361. I mean, he's Indiana basketball he's even more Indiana basketball than Bobby Knight. So I think that could be interesting. His buyout, I don't even know what his buyout is. I don't think it's really ridiculous, but won an NCAA championship, Mr. Basketball in 83, 2-time All-American, Golden. I mean, he is Indiana basketball. Last 3 years, 22 and 11 and 26 and 8. They're struggling a little bit this year, but that could be a potential. I think those are the 3 that I can see realistically, and I think all 3 are pretty good choices. Thoughts?
We'll see what happens. I mean, I think it's I don't see Cronin leaving just because of the buyout. I don't see UCLA budging on that number. That's just a really high number the next couple of years with Cronin. I know just from watching press conferences, you just get the sense he wants out of Los Angeles and he wants out of the West Coast. He wants to get back to the Midwest. But I think he's a little handcuffed with that buyout. I don't see many programs that are going to foot the bill for that.
Yeah. Another name. Another name I heard is Grant McCausland. He has 4 kids and 6 miniature donkeys.
Oh,
you got no donkeys in Indiana?
I mean, there's going to be so many names thrown out here. I mean, right now, Indiana would be kind of the top job that's open, but there's so many other jobs that are going to pop open in the next 60 days. And, there's already other good jobs. I think the Virginia job's a great job. When I can see Ryan Odom taking that job. So it's there's going to be so many moving pieces in this coaching carousel. And I think Indiana is going to have to move quick. To try to find somebody. So, and they're working on it around the clock with the resources that they have. Just
lastly though, do you see them after the success of what they're having in Indiana football, hiring a mid-major coach? Do you see them doing that in basketball?
No.
Really?
No, I just think that the powers that be, they weren't in Indiana. They weren't a football school before they got good. That was always their thing is hey, let's hire well-known head coaches for basketball, right? And, pray that it works out, and it just hasn't worked out, right? Yeah. And then, where it comes to football, the success they had this year, they're, I think the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to have a little identity crisis in Bloomington, it's the past 50 years, they've been a basketball school. Now they're a top 10 football program. So it's where are you going to put your resources in Indiana? I think in the public's perspective, they're going to say basketball, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there between those 2 sports and where the resources go. All
right, give me one name. Who are they going to hire?
Mark Byington.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a bad.
I have no idea.
So, yeah. Well, that's
but I don't like the other names that you threw out there. I like Burnell. I just don't see him going that route. I like Alford. I think that he doesn't fit what Indiana's looking for right now. I think they want more of a sure bet, right? I think Alford would be absolutely loved in coming back to Bloomington, but I think the powers that be there, they want more of a sure bet, right? And somebody like a Byington who's won at multiple different levels and has shown what he can do in 1 year at a school, half a year. That's what they need. That's what they're going to be looking for.
Yep. All right. So Rice-A-Roni is simply known as the San Francisco Treat. No longer. It's the San Francisco Dons men basketball team. Chris Gerlimson and his staff getting it down on the hilltop. Awesome game Saturday. Took down St. Mary's. And I will tell you, they might have one of the best underrated, underappreciated backcourts in the nation. Malik Thomas and Marcus Williams. This guy can find recruits. Tyrone Riley is a freshman, averaging 9.6,
Tyrone Riley,
5.5
man.
rebounds. I mean, they're Carlton Lingard.
He's playing that. Well. He's playing that 3-guard basketball, man, and it's. We talked about this in the preseason with Coach G. And we said your team's gonna be really fun to watch, and he was like, "Yeah, I know," with a big smile on his face. And I'm like, they have not disappointed all year. They're 20-6, 10-3 in WCC conference play, 1.5 games back of St. Mary's, who they just beat, like you said. He has this team on the right track. The WCC, God, I hope they get at least three teams in.
They deserve it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like the WCC is a lot of fun to watch this year, and the Dons, they play such a good game of basketball. Like it is so fun, and I do feel like if they were in the Midwest or the East Coast, they would have such a bigger fan base for what they're doing this year and how they play the game. So I'm going to keep watching these games in the WCC. I'm cheering for the Dons. Like you said, Malik Thomas, Tyrone Riley, Marcus Williams, like the 3-guard lineup, Carlton Lingard stepping up, big man, it's the team is a lot of fun to watch.
Yep. Would you agree or disagree that Rick Pitino is the hottest coach right now in college basketball?
I agree.
Why?
I agree. Pitino, he's won 10 in a row right now in the Big East. He's been doing it close to 50 years. He's figured out. Think about it. When you've been doing this for almost 50 years, that's 5-0. Like, how many different eras of the game are you having to adjust to? And I think, when the whole NIL and transfer portal thing has evolved over the past 2 to 3 years, I think everyone just counted him out. Everyone's like, Rick Pitino, like, this isn't his brand of basketball, with paying players and, coaching a kid for a year, then, watching him go. And, and he's figured it out. It's blown my mind, in all honesty. Like, I think I was one of those people who is like, I don't know if he can make it. I don't know if his style can compete with like the paying the players and the transfer portal. He's proved me wrong, but they've won 10 in a row. He's got over 750 wins as a coach in total. He has this team playing as one of the best units in the country. If the NCAA tournament started tomorrow, I would pick this team to go to the Final Four the way they're playing.
So if that's the case,
get this.
Yep, give it to me.
Get this.
Okay.
So they've lost 3 games. They've lost 3 games this year, right? All 3 games by a total of only 5 points they've lost. 1 loss to Baylor by 1 point in double OT. Awesome game. They lost to Georgia by 3 points and lost to Creighton by 1 point. Total of 5 points in all 3 games they've lost.
And they beat Marquette and UConn last week.
Yeah. Like I'm such a Rick Pitino fan, and his whole pedigree is just off the charts. 21 of his former players and coaches have gone on to become head coaches. Everybody from Billy Donovan to Teddy Smith to Herb Sendek to Mick Cronin to his son Richard Pitino, who we've had on our coaches show this week. Reggie Theus, Mark Pope. It's like the guy's. He is so good for basketball this year. I love the story of the St. John's Red Storm this year.
Yep. And he's the only coach to take 3 different teams to 3 different Final Fours, and the only coach in history to win 2 national championships with 2 different universities. They're simply known as the Governor of Kentucky. And a name I saw somewhere for the Indiana job, but man, he's New York City through and through, and I think this is where he's going to finish up.
He's going to retire here.
Yeah. George Mason. If I say George Mason to you, what does that mean?
Winning.
A lot.
That's 9-game winning streak. The top of the A-10, who we have so much respect for. The A-10 is such a good high major conference, and George Mason is plowing through the conference right now. The past month and a half.
10-1 wins against at Dayton, George Washington, at St. Bonaventure, Loyola, Rhode Island. But you know what the great thing about George Mason? 2 great things. second-year head coach Tony Skinn played in 03-06. I remember watching him in Cleveland. But the thing that George Mason has over everybody, the Green Machine, the best I've seen in person, witnessed it twice, the best pep band, Doc Nix brings it home. Dude. Turn on the lights now, baby. Yes. I love George Mason.
It is good.
Love
it is
George
good.
Mason.
And if you want to watch good high major basketball, I mean, this George Mason team can compete with any power conference school. I think they would just be a battle between one of the last couple possessions. But if you want to see good college basketball, circle February 22nd on your calendar when George Mason goes to VCU and plays Ryan Nodum and VCU. I mean, they're going to be the 1 and 2 teams in the A-10. That is going to be, I think, one of the best games of the season to watch.
Yes, I agree. Love Darius Maddox averaging 14 points a game. Jalen Harper is averaging 12 points, 6.9 rebounds per game, and Braden O'Connor 9.7. Tang time. So what we have found out in our podcast career, or our show career, not a podcast, we're a network, right? We're a network. When we have coaches on, they actually do really well. Jared Calhoun, look at how well he's doing at Utah State. The list goes on. One coach we had was Jerome Tang. And what the hell is Jerome Tang doing right now? He is winning.
He's crushing it, man. Yeah, I mean, since our episode with Coach Tang, he has the highest adjusted efficiency rating with a 5-1 record in the country. Like they keep moving up in the rankings. Like, I mean, they were down in the dumps. People in Manhattan, Kansas were like calling for his job.
Crazy.
That the week we interviewed him, I remember that, right? And now he goes on the tear, and like everyone's ridiculously happy. I mean, they're going to be playing for a spot in the tournament. I mean, they're not there yet. They're down to 70, ranked 73rd in the net. But I mean, I think they need to get around like 55 to get into the tournament. They have a chance to do it the way they're playing.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, they've got good quad 1 and quad 2 opportunities the next 2 to 3 weeks, and if they can keep it up, they'll be one of the best stories in college basketball the second half of the season if they keep playing the way they are.
The bookends will be tough. They play Arizona at home, then they go to BYU, at Utah, Arizona State at home, at UCF, Colorado, Cincy at home, at Cincy, and then ISU at home. So they did beat ISU by 19. So I really like what they're doing. What I really like about them is Colin Hawkins is really, really improved. 11.2 points per game, 4.7 assists per game, which is really good. So we're excited for the Wildcats. We're big fans of Jerome Tang, to say the least. So we love to do a little thing called Mid Major Minuttesss, which means I just talk and you're supposed to listen. I have to start out. I've given some love. They need to give us some love back. Akron, 11-game win streak, the best in the nation for win streaks. 11, 18-5, 10-0. John Gross is getting it done. Okay, Nate Johnson 13.5. Saw them in the flesh on Saturday against South Alabama. They shot 45 3-pointers. They're tied for 13th with points per game. Oh my God, they're top 18, tied for 18th rebounds per game. Assists per games are 4th in the nation with 18.7. Tavar Johnson's a ball player, Isaiah Gray. So I'm a big fan of Akron. And John Gross' little brother at Miami, Ohio is nipping on his heels, Travis Steele. And then also Toledo. Don't count out Toledo. Did you know our guy, Coach Todd Kowalczyk? He has the second most conference wins since 2021 season, 70, right behind Houston. So I think this is a year for him, but Big South, we love the Big South. Next week, we have their conference commissioner coming on, and we're going to say High Point. Did you see that game against UNC Asheville?
Yeah, it was nice.
Damarian Williams, 14.5 points game. Keza Griffin, and then Bodo. That guy's just a beast. Get on the Huss Bus. If you haven't got on the Huss Bus, buy a VIP ticket, sit in the front. High Point is going somewhere, 21-5, 9-2. Towson, they are top. They're second in the nation, tied for winning streak. 10 Coach Scary is scaring the shit out of the conference. I love what he's doing. 60-9, 11-1. They're a ball team. Tyler Tea, 16.5 points per game. Pat Scary's been there for a long time, and he is getting it done. Watch out for Towson, right? Towson,
you got it right.
Towson.
Love
All right,
it.
we're going to go to
it.
Jacksonville State. 8-game winning streak, 17-7.
What's going on in Jacksonville State?
I know. They're the Gamecocks. Ray Harper getting it done, 9th year. They have one of the leading scorers in the nation. Jaron Perry, ball player, fills up the hoops, 21.3 points per game. I'm really excited for them. They got a really good program, and I think they're going to be a sneaky damn good team come Conference USA tournament time. We got to do a shout out to Yale, our boy Coach Jones. Not as good as his brother in basketball hoops, supposedly a little bit smarter. Guy's been there forever. John Poulikitis, we said it right, Coach, 20.5 points per game. Every time I see Danny Wolf dominate it at Michigan, I think of Coach Jones. 8-game winning streak, 14-6, 7-0 in the Ivy League. I got two more teams. Coach Sellers, Patrick Sellers, the Blue Devils, Central Connecticut State. Getting it done. He's been there for a couple years. He's alma mater. Love it. 17-6, 8-2. Jordan Jones, a ball player, 13-3. Watch out for them in the NEC. And then Southern, the Jaguars. Got to give a shout out to my guy, Kevin Johnson. Second year, 28-2 overall. They're 15-8 this year, 10-0 in the SWAC. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. You know, he was a head coach a couple years back, about 20 years ago at Century College. Who is the best player ever to come out of Century College? Who is it? Give it to me. A little trivia.
I have no idea. No idea. I would fail this trivia.
The Chief.
Oh, Robert Parrish.
Beat the crap out of Bill Lambier. Didn't get called a foul. The Chief, Robert Parrish, Century College. I love what Coach Johnson's doing. I love the SWAC. They've beaten Tulane this year. And, no, they didn't beat. Yeah, they beat Tulsa and La Tech. He came from Tulane assistant for 4 years. Check them out. They're a really good program. And they play a really good schedule. Nebraska, USC, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Iowa State, South Dakota. That is my mid-major 25 minutes. I love it. I love college basketball. I love you. I love this country. God bless the USA.
Love it. Thank you for those mid-major minutes. You watch any games this week?
No, I'm done. I can't. I just can't.
I've got some circled on my calendar. So, I mean,
who you got?
No, I mean, with your mid-major minutes, and I had no idea where you're going with that. We don't talk about your mid-major minutes preparation for the show, but I've got Longwood at High Point on Thursday, the Big South. Like High Point's on a 6. Like I think everybody should watch High Point play this year. You know, for multiple reasons. When they're just a really good team, and also Alan Huss may not be at High Point very, very much longer, and he could be a top coach in the country in the next 4 to 5 years. So get on the Huss bus early. We love High Point. Watch them, and we love the Big South too. Saturday, I got Houston at Arizona. I think that's going to be a really good game. Also on Saturday, you know, I'm up in Fort Collins. We've got the border war with Wyoming and Sundance Wicks coming down to Colorado State. Neat Clifford putting up stats this year. Yep. He future NBA player. If you watch him in college, it's a great opportunity to tune into that game. And then on Sunday, the rematch, Creighton at St. John's.
Oh, I love it. You know, and Arizona's not getting much love. I mean, they were struggling for at a minute. They're 17-6, 11-1 in the Big 12. 6-game winning streak. Big 12 is looking good. Houston's really showing up. They're kind of sneaky.
Sorry, it's going to be a good game. Houston at Arizona Saturday is going to be a great game. I think Arizona, what they've done the past month, they deserve more recognition. They're getting some recognition in the AP and the coaches poll, but you know the mainstream media is not talking to them. I think there's that East Coast bias again. But
you keep pushing that. I
it's going to be a great game.
Midwest or whatever. Which poll do you like better? You know what? I like the coaches poll better than the AP. AP this week had Auburn at 1. Coaches poll has Alabama at 1. I'm gonna go with the coaches. I think they.
I don't think it matters
a little bit more.
Top, in all honesty, in all honesty, like when I pull up the polls on Monday, I look at the bottom first. I'm like, who jumped in and who jumped out. That's the most exciting thing, because I think that's what the student athletes and the coaches talk about in the locker room, right?
Yeah.
Is, hey, we lost that game by 2 points. We just bounced out of the top 25. Or, hey, We're on a 3-game winning streak. We upset that team last week. We just jumped into the top 25. It's like that whole motivation package. I think bouncing around the top 5 like Auburn and Alabama do, I don't think it really matters. It's really the back end of that poll that I look at.
You know what I talked about in the locker room? Hey, we're getting pizza, and I get my meal stipend because I don't got to spend it. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
That's it, baby. We got
good
some great
episode
basketball.
as always. LT, why don't you close it out?
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to College Basketball Weekly, powered by the Full Court Network. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review where you can, whether it's YouTube because you're watching us and I shaved, I showered, brushed my hair. Actually, really didn't, but whatever. We got Rick Pitino on the Full Court Press at College Basketball Network. Follow that, subscribe to that. Check out our Substack page. We have a ton of stuff. I'm waiting for the great Sammy Davidson to write something because he is a very talented journalist. And we'll be back next week on the College Basketball Weekly, brought to you by the Full Court Network. LT out, Sammy D out. College basketball for life.